This is the Dremel 220 Workstation. It's an attachment for the Dremel, designed to actually make using the Dremel way easier because it's like having an extra pair of hands. Now, the way I see it, most people will be purchasing this item so that they can use their Dremel as a small bench drill. And when you read the instructions for this particular piece of equipment, it says that it's not designed for professional use. But I still think it's a very handy piece of kit. So in this video I'm going to actually review the product, demonstrate it doing a few different jobs, and just let you see exactly what the thing is capable of and what it's like to use. So I hope you're going to find it useful. So let's start by having a look at it. First of all, it's got a very well machined aluminium base. The drill press itself is predominantly plastic, but it's a very hard and solid plastic. Using it as a drill press, you can see, is very easy. There's a nice strong spring action on that, and I measured it and we've got approximately 51 millimeters travel from top to bottom as you're using the lever there. The drill press itself can be slid up and down the post, and that is actually quite a nice interference fit there. And in order to allow you to slide it up and down, we've got this locking lever at the back there, so you can slacken this and move the drill press around, up and down, left and right, and then just lock it in place with about a quarter turn, and that is solidly fixed to the post when you do that. So other features on this thing, it's got a depth stop for drilling, so you can move this up and down to set the depth. There is a graduated scale there. I can't see that being too useful, to be quite honest, but there is a scale there, and as you can see, you can set the depth just by adjusting this little clamp here. The other thing that you can do is you can tilt this, so I'll show you how to do this in a second, but I'll demonstrate it from this angle first. Now this is graduated. You can hear the indents there as I'm turning it, and it will go from 0 to 90 degrees in 15-degree increments. We just slacken this here, and then there's another little clamp there. Slacken that, and then you can see that you can tilt the drill press from 0 to 90 degrees, and then just to tighten it up, you just tighten this clamp, screw this back in again, and that just locks everything in place. So that's fairly simple. I've actually been in the kitchen and weighed this, and it's 2,024 grams, give or take a gram or two, so just over 2 kilograms, and actually it's got quite a nice weight to it. Connecting your Dremel to the Workstation is pretty easy. I'll just remove this multi-chuck. It's worthwhile mentioning that if you use your Dremel a lot, one of these multi-chucks makes life a lot easier. It's much easier to use than a collet. I'll demonstrate that later on. But to fit the Dremel to the Workstation, you've got to remove this collar, and you can see you've got your screw thread there. Underneath you can see there's a nut there with a thread. That's what attaches the Dremel to the Workstation. With the Dremel facing the front, push it down and it'll drop into the hole where the bolt is. You can feel it actually go in there, and then just hand tighten it at first, and you can see it's going down as I'm doing that by hand. There is a spanner that's supplied with the Workstation just underneath, and nip it up now. Not too tight because it's plastic, but that now is solid in there. So it's very easy to fit. Just pop the spanner back in its holder there. If you look on the side there, there's actually cable clips. Very difficult to push these in, but I think that's a good thing rather than a bad thing. So that cable is now secured. So the maximum drill diameter is 1/8 of an inch, which is 3.2 millimeters. Now I've had a play with this, and it doesn't like drilling at lower speeds, but you don't want it too high either. So I'm going to try it at 15. As you can see, it's gone all the way through. Now it goes without saying that this wood should be clamped, but you can see you really don't need to. It's quite steady, there's no issues with it at all. That one's gone right through as well. So for drilling, no problem at all. That's pretty good. There's no issues with that at all. So when it's set at 0 degrees or 90 degrees, whichever way you're looking at it on this, it is pretty accurate when it comes to how the drill bit is on the workstation. Which brings me to another feature of this, and that is that you can actually drill at an angle. So I'm going to slacken this off, and we're going to take it to 30 degrees, which is 2 indents, 1, 2. Then I'm going to lock this so that it can't move from 30 degrees. Let's try it at 30 degrees and see what happens. I won't go all the way through. So that actually is really handy. I can see some people having a real use for that. Most people won't be interested in that at all, but for people that are doing model making, that type of thing, that could prove very useful. We'll measure the distance between the socket there on the base to the centre of the drill and see what distance we've got. It's bang on 4 inches, just over 10 millimetres. So that gives you quite a lot of scope. Remember I said that this is like an extra pair of hands, and this is where this thing comes into its own. Now you can see now I've canted that over so it's at 90 degrees. I've fitted a little sanding drum in there. Now if you do delicate woodwork, and I do quite a lot of very delicate stuff, this is just a... My wife's actually from Bermuda, and I made her a little wooden ornament to go on our boat. I'm just going to sand it slightly. Now you can see there are many possibilities there for snapping this if you're sanding it, but this thing allows you to like control it very easily with both hands. So it's great for sorting out sanding issues with delicate projects. Now this you can see, well you probably won't be able to see, but this has got the teeth marks of my scroll saw on there, and I can just carefully go over that. And inside, you need to be careful going inside, but you can get inside. Just make sure you don't apply any pressure when you're doing that. But as you can see, that opens up all sorts of possibilities for sanding. When you take into consideration you've got different size sanding drums, you can sand a large amount of any delicate project with these 3 drums. So it opens up a lot of possibilities for sanding, and that is one of the reasons I'll be using this a lot. When I've done some delicate work, I can just use this to sand it. So next I want to look at polishing and buffing with the workstation. Now you can see this is a very old knife. It was given to me by a good friend, and you can see that it could do with cleaning up a bit. So I've fitted an abrasive tool on the end of this. Now the beauty of this is the fact that you've got both hands free. You can see that's made a difference, and that's just an abrasive pad. So I've put a polishing drum on there. It's a little felt pad. So I'll put some polishing compound on it now. I'll do that while the machine's running. So I'll just load that up with polishing compound. You can see it's gone green. You need to be careful when you're doing this type of thing, because it could flick the blade, but it's not enough force, I think, to cause you a problem, in all fairness. But this is just purely for demonstrating what this thing can do. I would suggest that if you're going to do this type of thing, you do a bit of research online at the best way. So you can see that is making a difference. Now if I was prepared to spend a lot of time on this, I could take that blade back to virtually brand new. It really needs sanding before I go on to the polishing, but it's just to give you the demonstration. Now please don't try this yourselves. If you're going to actually work on blades and that, you need to take more precautions than I did. I'm only doing this just to demonstrate the different uses for the workstation. So the last thing I want to demonstrate is actually working with stone. Now for this you need one of the diamond bits, and there's plenty available. You can get them fairly cheap from Amazon or eBay. This is something that I wouldn't normally do. I've not tried this before, but I've seen other people do it online, using a diamond bit to shape stone. And with all of these things, you should make sure you've got the correct PPE. You should definitely be wearing goggles and a mask when you're doing this type of thing. So that's me just had a little bit of shaping going on, not a lot, but I have shaped it a little bit. As you can see, it's possible to shape and polish stone. You can obviously do a way better job than I did, but that just demonstrates that it is possible. And then last, but by no means least, this can be used as a stand to mount your Dremel on when you're using the flex shaft. Now, this thing at the top, if you turn it about a quarter of a turn to the left, anti-clockwise, you can lift it up, it's adjustable. That centre post, just another quarter turn clockwise, and that is now locked in place. You can just hang your Dremel with the flex shaft off there, and then that will allow you to use your Dremel from a very good working position using the flex shaft. I think this is a very versatile attachment for the Dremel. It's got so many uses. I know that my demonstration hasn't been particularly good, but it does give you an idea of what this thing is capable of. And one thing I forgot to mention is this little thing here is called the crow's nest. Now, where have I put the spanner? You can hang your spanner on there, but as well as that, you can use it for storing your favourite Dremel attachments and bits. So there's the drill bit that I was using and the polishing disc. So as you can see, there's plenty of slots there for your favourite tools and bits. So you can keep all your bits and attachments handy on the workstation ready to use, and you've got a very portable system. So I actually love the fact that you can hang this off this and it's ready to go. It even moves around, so it's not a solid system. I made this several months ago out of some rebar to allow me to mount the Dremel, and it's awkward, it's fixed, it does the job, but this is just so much better. The fact that it actually swings over on the top, which you might think is a hindrance, makes it much better to use and a lot easier to control the flex shaft. So that to me is a very valuable addition to this workstation. Anyway, that's it, I've finished now. I hope you've enjoyed that and found it useful, and thank you for watching.